All right, folks. I got to get this off my chest, and this upset the hell out of me yesterday. And maybe my misfortune will be someone else's fortune. So I'll just try to help it where you guys avoid the pain that I went through yesterday. So right here on the screen, you see those CPP you canceled. And you see all those $0 CPP you canceled, CPP you canceled, okay? Now, that is not 100% accurate. So here's what happened. I had came back from Denver and had a nice little staycation with my mom, my brother, and we stayed at a pretty decent hotel. And I'm like, okay, as soon as I get back home, I'm going to get back in the grind and basically make up for all the money I just spent, the hotel, dining, and all this different stuff. And, doing a basic staycation because, folks, when the holidays roll around, I'm getting to the point where, I'm not a homebody, but I don't want to be stuck in traffic and I don't want to be dealing with the stress. And even at the point now is like, I don't even want to be dealing with relatives. I see people, the holidays are not the best time of the year for everybody. It's a very stressful time for a lot of people. So anyway, I got 3 orders last night to shop at Safeway, my local Safeway that is close by. So I go in there and I'm shopping and I'm instantly dreading the shopping because I'm like, it's Thanksgiving. They're going to be out of a lot of stuff. And sure enough, there were certain products that I could not get, but some of the things I was actually looking in the wrong aisle. So they have those chocolate chip morsels, and I couldn't, for the love of me, I couldn't get my mind on the fact that they're actually in the bakery aisle. I kept thinking they were in the frozen aisle. So the customer, I kept sending them photos of when I went to like when they're in the refrigerator or the freezer or whatever. And then finally the customer was like, no, they're in the bakery aisle. So then when I went over to the bakery aisle, I couldn't even find exactly what they needed there. So I was like, God dang it. So they substituted that item. And there was a couple of other substitute items, okay? Also, I went over to where they have the rotisserie chicken. And there's so many times where I go to shop for rotisserie chicken. And I know there's got to be somebody else that has experienced the same pain too. But when I went to the rotisserie aisle, there were some chickens there, and I grabbed the last of them, and I got them in there, and I had, everything on the cart. Now, I had 3 different orders on the cart, and I separated them with the little plastic baskets and stuff. And I was just like, I'm pretty good at being organized. Even if I don't run into the store with a whole bunch of different bags and stuff, I organize stuff. So anyway, so I had to go pick up just last two items, getting ready to deliver the three separate orders. And all of a sudden, I don't see my cart. And I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my God, someone took my cart. And I see this one black girl, and I'm black too, so this ain't no racism thing. But I see her with, it looks like my cart. So I said, and I asked her right at that point, I said, did you just grab my cart? No, I didn't. So I'm seeing like items on there, and I'm at first I'm like, well, maybe I'm being crazy, whatever. And I said, and then I just sat there and I'm trying to mill it over, and I'm like, that is my cart. And I'm like, well, what did you just put my stuff away? And she would not admit to it. So I went over to the manager, and the manager's like, I tell her my scenario, and I'm getting more and more upset the more I explain the story, okay? And I'm not yelling, but you can see, customers and stuff are looking at me. I'm getting flustered, and I'm like, she put away the stuff that I just shopped for these 3 customers. So finally, the manager gets her over there, and she explains the situation, but I'm just like, look, what has happened, but I don't like the store's attitude of, well, we can't do anything. Yes, you can do something. You could have helped me. The items that you just put away, you could have helped me grab those items back and send me on my merry way. That's what I would have done as a person working at that store, okay? The customer is not always right, but what they did was wrong, okay? And here's the thing. The store is chock full of people in there shopping, leaving carts here, grabbing this, but you chose my cart to come and start taking stuff and putting back on the shelf. And she said the whole spiel about, well, we have shoplifters and we have people abandoning carts and all this different stuff. But I'm like, but I'm still in the store. I'm not the person that I just told you that I did not abandon my cart. And then so I was able to get and I started getting bombarded with all these messages from the customers because those rotisserie chickens, they're hot. And the customer's like, well, where's my stuff at? And so this is the thing. I could have stayed and my anger got the best of me, but I could have stayed and re-put everything in that cart. But then I thought to myself, no. I said, I'm not getting in the conflict with the customer when I finally get to their house and these chickens are stone cold. So I took it as a loss, but I did not even try to explain my case to Uber. And see, this type of BS is what will get you deactivated from these accounts, because they're like, oh, well, you had too many cancellations, and they don't know they don't know what went on, why you canceled. I mean, here's the thing. I will cancel on a customer if in that text message, if it's going like, if I say, hey, there's no, rotisserie chickens, and you say, if you say M&F, you need to look in this section. If I sense that there's going to be any altercation with the customer, or they've already got attitude communicating with me via text message or whatever, and that may be interpreted. I don't know if you guys saw Key and Peele, but it may be interpreted. But what I'm saying, though, us as drivers sometimes are going to cancel. Also, if we realize at any point of that transaction that's going to be too much of a hassle, we're going to cancel. Like today, I delivered at the airport. And here's the thing. You got those people at the ticket counter ordering food and all this different stuff, but I have to pay for parking. And then also, too, so when I did drop off at the airport, I ran in and she said she was at the Southwest ticket counter, but she had attitude because she didn't respond back to okay, where could I park at? The person at the ticket, well, I don't know where you just park. Well, as you being a diligent Uber driver trying to do the right thing, you could go in there and park your car real quick and think you're going to run out, and then you got a ticket on your car that's well above what you were getting paid for food delivery. And that's, there's all kinds of things right now. Like, look, I'm telling you as a fact, I just don't feel like, a lot of people are surviving, but the reality is a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not, and people think, oh, it's, people need to, they're spending and all this different stuff. No, stuff is becoming more and more expensive. And also you're getting penalized for stupid stuff. So you can end up when someone looks at somebody on the street and they turn their nose up to them and well, I'll never be in that position. Well, you better think twice, because these delivery apps and all these things they're making it where, you could lose a viable source of income at the drop of a hat. And those cancellations there I didn't willingly make those cancellations, but I was just look, I sent a message to Uber. I said, too many missing items, because also, here's the thing. When I did talk to the girl that had put my stuff away, she had already incorporated other items from just the shelves that were around. So you got stuffing and all this different stuff. And I was like, this is just going to take me more time separating these items, putting these items back. And then even after that, I told him, I said, look, what do I do with the remainder of the items I have now? I don't have time to put these back. Well, we'll put them back. Well, okay. But you guys at the store messed this all up because you thought the cart was abandoned. And here's the moral of the story. I will say this. I let my anger overcome me. Like I said, I didn't get in a loud screaming match, but I was getting flustered. And also, as a driver, you have to protect yourself. So when you go in these stores and you're shopping for multiple different shoppers, I guess you got to put a big sign up and say, hey, I'm an Instacart shopper. I'm an Uber shopper, because now these stores are taking your cart and starting to put stuff back. That's just imagine if you're in the midst you're already done shopping. Let's say you run to the bathroom real quick, and someone goes through the checkout aisle with all your stuff, and then you're left there holding the bag. But I'm telling you, and people are constantly talking about AI taking our jobs and all this different stuff. But look, folks, AI, stupid ass people still need to check what these robots are doing. I've seen it multiple different times where AI has interpreted something not exactly the way it's supposed to be. And everyone wants to move towards digital currency. Well, here's what's going to happen, folks, is you're going to be a person out here hustling just like I am, making money, doing whatever, and there's going to be a AI glitch that says you have $0, and you're going to be fighting your damnedest to prove that you got some money. But I just, like, this is not, and I'm showing you, like, this is on the Uber platform, but these type of things happen across the board on these platforms. Like, like I said, you could go in there shopping for Instacart, and some store clerk go start putting your stuff back. And I want it, like, what I don't like too is like the way society is now. You got to go viral with these things in order for these companies to change. This video is not going to go viral because I don't know. I mean, I've done realistic videos on the pitfalls of delivery, and they're slowly getting views. But I don't mean to do this to some people in the past have basically put a photo of the person they had the interaction with, and then that person got all kind of hate me emails, people blowing up their Facebook, all that different stuff. But what I'm saying, though, these managers at these jobs, like, managers are very poor at conflict resolution. And like I said, even as me, if I was the manager, you can't immediately get angry when the customer approaches you. You have to understand and have empathy for where that customer's coming at. You basically just took all the food that I had in my cart and started restocking the shelves. What is that? And I feel like, even the color of my skin, like, you would have, the result may have been different of a different person of a different color skin. If that was a police officer in there and he was just, doing some stuff, he was still in uniform, he did his little side gig, and then you guys put the stuff on the shelf, he would be pissed too. But you would take his presence as, okay, maybe I need to do the right thing a whole lot better. But that's the problem, folks. I don't give a damn what anybody says. People have their own racial biases, and then when a black person is authoritative or trying to prove that they were proven wrong, it's just like, oh well, whatever. I'm a manager, I can't do anything. But you can, because if I was in that position, I would do the right thing, and I'd say, hey, just take a couple minutes out, help him. You can help him get the stuff. Sir, can we help you out, get the stuff? And then that conflict, that tension is down, because then that person tried to do the right thing. But what happens to me, folks, is not like, this is not just a black or white issue. I feel like, see, this thing I'm on this platform, but this is going to happen again to some. Unfortunately, it'll probably happen to someone again, and it shouldn't. But even when I was talking to the manager, I was just like, look, I'm just trying to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. A person, like I said, you run for 1 minute to wherever, and you guys just taking stuff out of people's carts. And I know, like, management comes out with these stupid policies that they don't know the complete impact of the actions until people like me get super vocal. That's the only way that some of this stuff, and this is a problem though too in general with social media and stuff. I feel like in general we are in a society now where we are vocally and verbally and everything showing our grievances, but nothing is being done. These heads of these companies, like I said, if the main executive whatever of Safeway sees this video, they you should hear some kind of, okay, this is what happened. This customer, this is what happened to them. We're going to ensure that this is not going to happen to anybody else. But in general, like I said, I've seen it with everything. You're out here trying to do the right thing, and you could just end up getting your life completely destroyed. Just like I looked at, so when I was doing that delivery too, is I always encounter a large majority of just dilemmas doing deliveries at night. And someone in the comment section on Reddit said that they're like, they said something like this. They said they're, whatever, they're in an area where people got guns, and they were just like, I don't want to get my head blown off at night over a delivery. And that's true. I mean, you got people that don't even, like, you go to the house, you can't see no address or anything, so you turn on a flashlight, and you're trying to see. I've had it where people have ran out of their house, like they think I'm like trying to break in or whatever, but it's like, dude, I'm trying to see where your freaking address is at, so I'm not fumbling and bumbling around in the neighborhood. And here's the stupid thing though too, is like the area I live in, I'm from here, so I could get killed behind, some of this foolishness of people not communicating, and that just frustrates me, and it's happened. I mean, I feel like those stories get blown under the rug, because it was like, I don't know I know the lady got shot by and killed by this elderly guy, but it's just like, all we want to do is just drop your food off. When we go in this shop, we're shopping for 50 items. All we want to do is get your stuff to you. Don't, people act like, you send a message to somebody, and it's, you have to substitute an item, and it's just taking them forever to respond. I'm just like, it should be like, it shouldn't be like that. I mean, I feel like these apps with AI and all this different stuff, go ahead and set it up where you've got all your valid substitutes already specified that you're going to take. If those valid substitutes are not there, then it gets refunded to the customer. But don't blame the driver. The driver is in there trying to shop. I mean, like, sure, a driver may a driver may miss something. Like I said, I thought the one things were in another area and they weren't, or whatever. A driver may be at fault like that, but drivers are not driving all the way to these supermarkets to screw customers over. We're trying to do our job. But here's the thing. When AI does take over and you have driverless deliveries, stuff is still going to get messed up. And you're going to need that human intervention to fix the problem. Peace out.